Carter, Reagan, called identical. LD061552, Tehran domestic service in Persian, 10:30 GMT time, 6th of November, 1980. Unattributed political commentary. The sensationalized and well-publicized American elections have finally come to an end, and less than 40% of the American people elected Ronald Reagan, the Republican candidate, the former governor of California, the former Hollywood actor, as the ruler of America for the next 4 years, and as the leader of world imperialism and the so-called free world. The presidential elections at the beginning of the 80s had taken place in one of the most critical periods in the history of imperialism. At a time when America is faced from within with severe and pressing economic and social crisis, including ever-increasing unemployment and inflation and the energy crisis. In the eyes of informed political observers and commentators, the presidential elections in America, not only this time, but in all periods, are not elections which are decided by the people and in which they consciously take part. On the contrary, it is the owners of industrial and capitalist companies, trusts, and cartels who send their favorite candidates to the White House. Regardless of which party they belong to, whether Democratic or Republican, the candidates will not have any influence. The general imperialist policies of America are, in other words, world-devouring strategies, because the presidents in practice completely follow the same strategy characteristic of capitalism and the materialistic order. The only difference is in the method of operation adopted by different Democratic Party safeguard the interests and aims of imperialism under the cover of human rights and other such issues. The presidents chosen by the Republican Party implement imperialist interests in a less discreet form or according to other methods. Therefore, what is basically dangerous for revolutionary governments and for the oppressed nations of the world is imperialism itself and its plundering methods and aims. And the change of president dependent upon one party or one group will not constitute any change in the dangerous behavior of imperialism. This was written back in November of 1980 in Ronald Reagan's presidency, and how the world felt about us and our elections and what's different now. What is different now? Here we are, years later, over 47 years later, and we are right there, if even not worse, in a worse state of demise than we were then. So perhaps the handling the government is the issue, is the danger, is the concern, is the causative agent, is the induction. It is the hindrance and the oppressor. It is the body itself. It is completely crooked, criminal, and compromised. It is defrauded, null and void of any way to be, while law of any man or woman of law. And so we must begin to consider, what is it we're really doing here on this land here that is truly the soil of America? What are we doing here? Are we going to allow the United States colonies, their institutions, their promises, their blood bonds, their Black Cross oaths to one another, crucify the existence of nations. They have already done that to allow history to repeat itself is also null and void. Civilians do not need a military. Here, on land, it's a false perpetuating a fraud of a need of things that we don't need when those needs cost more than the needs that we actually do have, and those needs that we do have, we actually can have in our reach, and those needs that we do have that can be in our reach are not unrealistic, unreasonable, basic needs. So why are they not already governmentally met? But the government's office can start a business of a motion picture, as New York State did. That concerns me a lot, being a New York Stater and knowing the ancient history, because I'm an ancient American. I'm from this bloodline of this soil. And so I think it's no longer about people being quiet or living in ignorance, or people saying people are delusional, or people are mentally ill or incompetent. Or I think right now it's a really good idea for us to really sit down at a table and really discuss the true incompetence that has been taking place and has been disrupting every contract and every agreement to the point it is disturbing everyone's life but the one who is causing it. I mean, it's no different than any other abusive relationship. And if we are telling people that abuse in any form is no good, then why are we forcing abuse of a government on others? Well, this is not a place for that. European pills never came to this nation to be treated like that. They begged Indians. They begged over and over again. They fought. They were willing to murder and sell their soul to the devil for this land. Is that important? So let's sit all the bullshit aside. Let's sit all the ruckus arguments and the backwoods redneck talk and crap. Let's sit all of that aside and let's talk about what we know is a fact. Okay? Imperialism is ruining this country, and people who want it is perfectly fine. Go to a nation, a country, more than likely your mother country, your nationality, where you're from, where you are from in your blood. Okay? Go back there with your capitalistic ways, your imperialistic ways, and make something of yourself and something even greater of your country and your nation and your people. Because it's about time that this nation represents itself as the only nation in the entire world it's not being represented by a true American. It's being represented on a daily basis by a person perpetrating fraud of an American. You can never change your blood, though. You could become a United States citizen. You could become naturalized, but you cannot become something that you're not. It's just like getting castrated or getting some skin added. It's still something that has to be done artificially to make you something of artificial, to become more like the real thing, more able to perpetuate the fraud that you would like to do. It's about time that we stop the painful confusion with all the perpetrating of frauds. It's too many instances of it, and it becomes so confusing. It's very difficult to even raise children in this society, and that is why the children are confused, because they really don't know what am I doing here? What is going on here? The adults are so confused. They got adults going in this direction. You got them saying this. You got them saying that. But what are we really doing here? We know what we're doing here. We have a nation of people against a whole bunch of other nations, and it's just always been like that. And so now something has to happen that has to change things. Things cannot remain the way they are because Congress is not standing up and doing the right thing. And the Democratic Party and the Republican Party is pretty much the same thing. It's branches off of each other. And so people, why don't you start to consider how the world and others have been viewing, United States leadership, and what it is truly doing. Look up imperialism. Okay? Look these things up. World devouring. Strategies. All right? Republic. Interest. American. Don't look in no Google. Don't look in no dictionary from today. Look in the Black Laws Dictionary. Look in the first dictionary ever created. In the ancient world. We call it ancient, but it really wasn't that long ago. 300 years or so. So, we have to really consider dealing with reality. A lot of people are making money off of falsities. It's fine. It's beautiful. People love to live in a delusion. But in order to get real life right for reality, for real needs of every day and those to come, we really need to figure out what we're going to really do here about the grid. What are we going to really do here about housing? What are we going to really do here about agriculture? And you know what? We don't need the government for those things. And we never had. The government wanting to be in such a position of control, but not really be able to control things is causing a demise. The government wants control, but doesn't want to do no work, or doesn't want to really control anything. Just wants authority. There's a difference. Okay? I think a lot of people are misunderstanding what the proletaire class is, who they really were. Okay? And also, just a little small one throughout there, military ministers. Military. So, I want you to consider what the United States has subjected on America even beyond the 80s. But even since the 60s and 80s and 90s, we still haven't gotten anywhere. But to use each other for more babies and more money, come on now. We got to do better than that, people. We got to do better. Imperialism. Imperialism. Spectrum. National Grid. Charter. Trump. Pay attention, people. Federal Reserve. International banks. What is a banknote? What is a bond? What is your birth certificate? Pay attention, people. What is imperialism? What is capitalism? And what has it done for you lately? You might want to consider that. You might want to consider what you want it to be doing for you.